Hello and welcome to another Popper video. Today we're going over the trophies, what happened in the Magic Online metagame, and who is winning in the Magic Online leagues. So this video is going to cover that. Of course, this doesn't cover exactly what the metagame was, what every single deck that O2 dropped was, but these are the decks that are being highly performing. And this covers the week of March 3rd through March 9th. So now I'm planning on doing just pushing through and doing the week by week instead of Tuesday to Tuesday, give me a little bit of time to go over the data. If you want to support this kind of content, definitely give me a like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. I'm going to link all of the different days in the description as well and try to give you timestamps for the different days that we're going over. That way you can click the link, check it out, review it as well. Don't forget to check out the Patreon, which is patreon.com/kalikaiz if you want to give me any additional support and get sideboard guides in return, plus a Discord section, which is just for subscribers, which is super helpful to kind of talk about the decks. So let's go ahead and get into the trophy leagues. If we look over here at the metagame, Glitter's Affinity was 31 trophies. So this is not just Blue-White Affinity. There were a couple of decks that weren't exactly the stock Blue-White Affinity, but there's really only like two. So we're looking at 31 decks that are just going straight up Blue-White Affinity or minor tweaks, which is almost 3 times more than the deck that came in second, which was Gardens at 12. And the rest of the meta here looks really flat, which, would assume to be pretty healthy. Glitter's not very strong at whatsoever. And look up here at the top. Do you see something missing? Mono Red's down here in 5th place with only 6% of the metagame. Now, honestly, I think that the Mono Red deck that exists right now is actually soft to a bunch of 1-2s. So the Glitter's Affinity, putting a ton of 1-2 bodies on the table and getting out early, that kind of makes it like brick wall you. And I did try playing Cold Other Red, and I didn't do super hot. We've just seen basically no mono red. All right, so inside of the rest of the games, or rest of the days, we'll go ahead and get to day one. Day one only had 4 trophies, and I don't really know why that was. It was Sunday the 3rd. Maybe something weird happened on Magic Online. But we have 1 Azorius Affinity, 1 Blue-Red Terror, 1 Goblin Combo, and 1 Black-Green Sacrifice that's mislabeled. This is kind of an interesting deck that's using a bunch of sacrifice stuff to get value, and then they also have Avenging Hunter and Troll, which I think is probably why it got classified the way it did. But this is just kind of your classic Black-Green Sacrifice deck. Moving on to day 2, we had, let's see, 16 decks, and I pulled out a bunch of ones that were pretty cool. So the top deck of the day was Glitter's Affinity and Is It Terror and Black Fae, all with 3 pilots. And then Golgari Gardens with 2, Jeskai Ephemerate with 1, White Weenie, Flickertron, Golgari Dredge, and Bogles. And this White Weenie deck is kind of crazy because they're playing 3 Ephemerates, which I don't really understand, but I guess they can ephemerate their like Spirited Companion and Rafine's Informant and Thraben Inspector to get a bunch of extra value. So if you're the pilot, let me know why you did that. They're also playing a Bounce Land here, and maybe that's like more mid-rangey. And they're playing Great Sword of Tyr and Core Howlbeard, something I've never really even seen. So they're trying a lot of, definitely a lot of spice here. The next wild deck was this deck by Sizors, or Psy199ors, but they're playing Bogles plus Gates. So this is a Basilisk Gate Bogles deck, which I had no idea was even going to be a thing. They're playing Basilisk Gate, Citadel Gate, and Manor Gate. Manor Gate can give them a lot more treasure tokens if they were playing all the glitters, but they're not playing all the glitters. And they're focusing really hard on having 4 Rancor and 3 Citizen training to get more trample effects, and then they can slam in with their creature that's gated up and win the game that way. Abundant Growth. The other different card is this Squire's Devotion as a 3 of, so they're playing 7 lifelink cards. Pretty wild. Spirit Link. I've just never seen somebody putting gates into Bogles. That's really interesting. Scrolling down, yeah, we have a Flickertron, a Dredge. So this Flickertron is from Xenowan, who plays all sorts of different formats. It was cool to see him in the Pauper Leagues, and he's obviously very successful. Taking some of the things from the Raptor 56 list, which is the 22 lands, but he's playing only 5 artifacts, and then this Runaway Boulder, which you can flicker to deal damage to a creature. Otherwise, pretty stock. Moving on to the 5th. All right, on the 5th, we had 8 Glitter's Affinity. 8. Very, very, very ahead on that day. We had 2 mono red, 2 Boros Synth, and the rest are 1-ofs, with Golgari Gardens, Blue-White Familiars, the Mirror Terror, White Weenie, just a regular White Weenie, Orzhov Blade, Cawgates, Dimir Control, not Terror, 1 Elves, and 1 Grixis Control. So one of the burn pilots was really playing just goblins. They're on Blast Runner, Bushwhacker, Tomb Raider, then Epicure. They've got Chain Lightning, Cold of the Rebirth, Lightning Bolt, and then two Demand Dancers. And their other card they're playing here is 4 Seal of Fire to turn on the Blast Runner, which is kind of interesting. Moving down. Oh no, that's the regular. This is burn with Demand Answers. Down here is the real Goblin burn. They've got 4 Goblin Grenades in their deck, and they're also playing Mind Collapse in the main deck, so pretty wild. That's kind of sick to see. They probably got a lot of people punked out by throwing 5 damage at their face. Sting Scourger in the sideboard, which is it's like a Mana War inside out for walls. Pretty wild. On the 6th, we had even more Glitter's Affinity with 9 total Glitter's Affinity. One of them being this mono white affinity here. We had 4 Golgari Gardens, and then moving down 2 Jeskai Ephemerate, 2 Fams, 1 mono red, and then Terror, Synth, White Weenie, Flickertron, Goblin Combo again, and Turbo Fog. So this mono white affinity, I lost this as well. It's the same as blue white affinity, but it just has more low to the ground creatures and focusing on creatures rather than card draw. Interesting to see Journey to Nowhere in the deck, but it's basically the same thing, just not playing any blue cards, and it's a little bit better on the mana, I would assume. Although having planes can be kind of a risk, I would think, if you're trying to use your artifact lands for value. A lot of things in the sideboard that I haven't seen. Destroy target creature enchantment for the mirror, I guess. Pro black 1/1. Interesting. Dawnbringer Cleric, Destroy Evil. This is a pro black flyer, or pro red flyer with Freewind Falcon. That was just a very, very wild deck. Moving on to the 7th. Glitter's Affinity apparently took a day off. So I don't know what happened there. But the highest placing deck was Is It Terror with 3 pilots. And then 2 Jeskai Ephemerate, 2 Blue-White Familiars, Gardens, Mono Red, Fae, all as 1-ofs, 1 of Orzhov Blade, 1 of Turbo Emblem, and 1 of Altertron. So the Turbo Emblem is the classic, at this point, Simarisu build, which is just like trying to slam Namesticker Goblin and get an Avenging Hunter onto the table, or Trailblazer's Torch or something. What's interesting that they've been able to do is have 4 Lightning Bolt and 4 Braid. That's pretty interesting to see. And they have 4 Rite of Flame. So they're not playing Simian they are playing Simian Spirit Guide. So I don't know how they slammed all this in there, but it's pretty powerful, and I keep getting destroyed by this deck. Then up here we have a Altertron, which is an updated list that I've been playing. I decided to take out the Wizard's Rockets for more Ichor Wellsprings, just to have more untapped ways to keep going while you're playing the game. So moving on to the 8th, we have Glitter's Affinity at 7 total pilots. So back in charge. Just Azorius Affinity everywhere. And we have a really sick version of Blue-White Affinity here, which is called Jeskai Ephemerate, but the only red card is a Flaring Pain. He just has the Rustvale Bridge to splash the Flaring Pain here. But the way that this deck works is you're playing Glitter's Affinity, just putting them on your Novice and Thraben Inspectors, and then you've got 4 Heliod's Pilgrim, which can search your library for an Aura card, which can search your library for all the glitters. And then you can just ephemerate your Heliod's Pilgrim to get more all the glitters out of your deck and keep pumping your guys. And it looks like also the Modern Age as an additional attacker. But he talked about getting your Winds Endicon to enchant your land and then glitters it. So you go like ephemerate your Heliod's Pilgrim, get glitters, get Winds Endicon, untap, play Winds Endicon, play glitters, kill your opponent with a flying land that's indestructible. Kind of sick. So if your opponent has all like destroy effects, they're not going to deal with that. They have to have some sort of exile or bounce. Pretty wild. And strands and everything. I kind of want to try this deck, but it's also from Chensu, who really likes to play just the most wild piles you've ever seen. So the last day of the week, closing it out, we had 2 Glitter Affinity, 2 Golgari Gardens, 1 Terror, 3 Jeskai Ephemerate, 3 Mono Red. So the highest placing decks were Jeskai Ephemerate and Mono Red. 2 Blue-White Familiars, 1 Black-Green Sacrifice again, Mono Black Control, and Mono Blue Fae. Interesting here, this burn deck by Land Me is more on your traditional burn. 0 card draw effects for Fire Blast, and they've got the Thermo Alchemist and Pinger packaged. So that kind of, they've been working on this for a long time, trying to make their burn work this way, and I'm happy for them. Lots of 4-1s, they said. Finally gets a 5-0. Then we have the Black-Green Sack again. So that kind of covers all the decks for the week. We can just pull up the metagame chart here. And, you know, as we said before, Glitter's Affinity nearly triple the number of trophies of any other deck. Just pretty wild to see. We had, I think the main thing that changed here was that people started cutting Frogmite and putting Thraben Inspector in instead. So you're seeing 0 Frogmite and 8 Inspectors. And I think that what this does is it makes it still have the explosiveness of the 2 color mana base with Ornithopter and everything, but you're also sort of slightly more mid-range with the 8 Inspectors. And I would expect that this continues to be the better Affinity deck moving forward. So if you're out in the leagues or if you're in any of the challenges, try to figure out a way to play against Affinity or try to play it yourself and be the guy that comes in top 8. So that's it for today. If you had any questions, let me know. Let me know if you liked the way that this played out, and I'll see you in the next video.